Davids, of course, our capable procedural officer. I will first ask now the members to introduce themselves and then the department, and then I will give the proceedings going further. Over to you, members.
Good morning, Chair. I am Leon van Wyk. I'm a member of this committee, and good morning to all on the platform.
Good morning, Chair. I'm Benedicta van Minnen. I'm a member of this committee.
Good morning, Chair. I'm Peter Johnson, a member of this committee.
Good morning, Chair. My name is Pat Lecker. I'm a member of the committee.
Good morning, Chair. My name is Noko Masipa. I'm an alternate on this committee, standing in for Benedicta van Minnen.
Waiting, Member Mbombo, we can't hear you. Did you? Member Mbombo? I see Member Mbombo is on the platform. I think all the members has now introduced themselves. Just Member Mbombo that we can't hear. Can I give over to just the department to introduce themselves?
Good morning, Chairperson, and good morning to all the members. Dr. Keith Kluti, Head of Department Health and Wellness. I'll ask Dr. Laura Angeletti du Toit to introduce herself. Thank you.
Members, good morning, Chair. I'm Laura Angeletti du Toit. I'm the Chief Director for Facility Infrastructure Management. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the introductions. As we know that we are here just to discuss the annual reports, the resolutions that committee took on page 219 and also on pages 191 to 240. And that is the 5-year equipment and infrastructure plan for the Western Cape. And also, secondly, we're going to discuss the security plans. And we will then hear from the department. I suggest that we do infrastructure first, and then the members can ask the relevant questions, and then we'll go over to the security and ask questions. And after that, the members will then have time for their resolutions. And then at that time, we will then excuse the department. Dr. Kluter, good to see you. Over to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Chairperson. Dr. Angeletti du Toit will bring up the presentation. As he brings it up, we'll do infrastructure first, Dr. Angeletti du Toit. As indicated by yourself, we are happy to present today what our 5-year plan is for infrastructure and for equipment. And we're happy to entertain any questions. Over to you, Dr. Angeletti du Toit. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much. And I'm going to start and share the presentation. I suppose everything is visible. So let's start with the 5-year equipment and infrastructure plan and the equipment plan. So I just want to just pause a little bit on the current situation in relation to the medical equipment environment. We had as everybody knows, a considerable turmoil during the COVID years, and not only in relation to logistics, and traveling, but also in relation to the increase. Of course, the dollars and the euro against the rand, the South African rand, has also had quite a big element, because we do import 90% of our medical devices as a South Africa. And this is why this specific environment is quite badly affected, both by the issue related to the rand value, as well as the general status of the economy in the different parts of the world. The market, as I mentioned, is still increasing we call it over the inflation rates. And we are going to experience this as a prediction, a further increase at the average of 6.5%. Now, in the health department, we have two streams actually, we have three streams. We have the use of the PES, the Provincial Equitable Share, and we are having in place a equipment committee that look with the different streams and look at the requirement and plan for the new requisition every year, and it's a quite tight process that we are following. Then on the grant side, we have, of course, the big ticket items. So we call it like that: the scans, the MRIs, the PET scan, and the accelerators, and so forth, are partly funded by the tertiary grant that is managed by the central hospital, because these big ticket items are mainly in the central hospital, and in partly by the infrastructure grant that is not the infrastructure grant, it's actually healthcare facility revitalization grant that, as you know, has got two components. The medical equipment and the infrastructure component is a Schedule 5 grant. And of course, each of the infrastructure project has got also a health technology project. So when we complete a facility or we upgrade a facility, we have everything in place in order to utilize the facility fully, with equipment, furniture, and everything is paid by this grant. On the requirement or request that we receive, as I mentioned, the process is quite tight, and we start for the financial year, we start in November to plan. We receive as equipment committee that is made of 4 streams. One is medical equipment, one is facility management equipment, one is vehicles, and last one is computers. We receive the requisition from the service, and then according to the budget allocated, we divide it we agree about the allocation per stream, and then we start with the list of the items that will be procured in the next financial year. So when the next financial year is coming, everybody knows what is the budget and what is the procurement that needs to be done. This year, the allocation for the PES, this is the PES allocation, is 127 million, as mentioned in the slide. And this is what show you is the replacement plan, because of course we are always working in the future, and we need also to consider it that our equipment, mainly the medical equipment, has got a lifespan, and we need to be sure that we know exactly when we will need to replace a specific equipment. Of course, major attention is made to the big ticket items, CT scans and others. As I mentioned, CT scans are currently also in the large district hospital, regional hospital, central hospital, and of course the other specialized service in the center. Now, what we have done last year, we have submitted a bid for the BFI, that is the Budget Finance Infrastructure, to National Treasury for the equipment for the new central hospital, Tageberg. As you know, the Tageberg Hospital is planned to be replaced as a PPP on the infrastructure side, but the PPP is not including the procurement of medical equipment. The reason is, few reasons, and especially the lessons learned from the Albert Luthuli PPP. So we submitted this we call it the BFI for the mega project, and Treasury approved our application and gave us a preliminary allocation for starting from 27-28. I must mention the total is a 2.3 billion for the new equipment at Tageber Central. And this 27-28, we received this allocation that is in red, as you see, and hopefully we will be able, together with the infrastructure plan, to be ready when the new hospital will be ready to install all the equipment. So there are a lot of plans that currently are coming, and the people in the team in the medical equipment, as well as the team in the Tageber Hospital, are working on starting the procurement in 27, and how to procure, what to procure, where to locate what is going to be procured, because there are a lot of logistics, as you can imagine, because the hospital will not be ready in 27-28. But we are very glad about this allocation. Then the rest is the budget allocated for the other infrastructure project, divided per category. So as you know, according to the Treasury, natural investment, and the R&R is the rehabilitation, revitalization, and I never remember the last part, but nevertheless, it's just the upgrading of rehabilitation of the buildings. So that is the total, and this is coming from, as I mentioned already, from the revitalization grant. Summary: what we have a challenge, of course, the limited fund is always a quite challenge. But we try what we call it in HT, we stretch or we sweat the life of our facility. For example, in the case of CT scan, if you buy the CT scan, the maintenance book said that you need to replace it in every 10 years, but we stretch and we can achieve between 14 and 15 years. So we sweat and we try to be, to ensure that our facilities are using the right technology, but we are actually use it at the maximum. Then, as I mentioned here, these are the big items, and not all of them are big. Of course, the ventilators and the static machine and so forth, but the big ticket items, as I mentioned, we are trying to sweat their lifespan. And the risk, the budget allocation, it's as you know, the economy is, and I mentioned already the cost increase, and the forecast of cost increase is not actually aligned with the budget that we receive, an increase, and then of course, so we, sometimes we have installation of big equipment that require quite a lot of upgrading to the place where they are installed. I must mention technology is moving quite fast, so there are innovation that coming, and this is one of the area in the sector that is driving quite fast in development and technology and innovation. So we are. We try to, for example, all the tax risks that last year we did the upgrading for our X-ray platform is actually extremely sophisticated and extremely linked to the capacity and the knowledge of the ICT environment. So it's becoming quite innovative and quite useful for the people, the medical staff and the clinical staff. And I mentioned I did the sweating. So that is the infrastructure equipment. Now I go to the infrastructure planning. for the infrastructure component. And I took this from our strategic plan, and just as a generic principle on what are the objective of infrastructure management, and what actually how we are we are planning the infrastructure. As you know, infrastructure is not something that is planned today for tomorrow. Is a very long process, a very complex process in some way, and we are at the moment we are working using the healthcare 2030 principle and plan, and we are at the moment having quite big project that we are working on. The three catalytic project for the metro, that is Tageberg Central, that I already mentioned, is going to be procured as a PPP. We had and I will give you some information about that. Belar, that is the Tageberg Regional, and then the Cliffontaine Regional Hospital. And of course, according to our strategy, and we are objective to run well. So we are under the run well, and we try to consider the fact that we need to deliver infrastructure in the most efficient and effective and economical manner. Now, the capital versus maintenance. This is always very, very important because we are actually try to find a balance between capital and maintenance. Pure maintenance, just for it's when you maintain what you have, and as it is. So it's a quite in the health sector is quite tricky, because health sector is quite dynamic environment, is changing. The modus operandi and the requirement are changing quite a lot. So to have a clinic that was designed 20 years ago and purely apply maintenance is not going to make the clinic functional, unfortunately. So what we need to do, this is why you will see the focusing mostly on the upgrade and additions and rehabilitation, renovation, and refurbishment, because these are the category that allow us to make changes in the facilities. So we can open doors, we can extend it, we can review the flow of the place, and so forth. So while the focus is on the maintenance, as I mentioned, but we cannot keep our facility as they were when they were designed. And this is why we have mostly upgrade and addition and R&R project. New and or replacement, you will see are not a lot, because unfortunately we cannot afford to expand the service platform due to, as you know, the budget constraints. So we try to find a balance among all these categories. We are using, just for information, we are using the infrastructure delivery management system. And on the left, it's just a very high level diagram that is relating how this coming all together in the infrastructure planning and infrastructure delivery in relation to managing the asset on the supply chain management part, and of course the planning and the budgeting. Now, on the right, you will see there are all our statutory documentation that every year we have to submit. We are also having an assessment done by National Treasury and National Health on the quality of this document, and these are one of the category that is used for the performance-based incentive grant. That is a grant that a portion of the grant that is provided at around about the beginning of December, and is actually coming as a recognition of the performance of a determined province. So we are very proud, because we we have been receiving this performance grant since the inception. And as I said, one of the principle or one of the criteria is to look at all these documents that we are producing. Now, this is a very basic slide, but just to show you that on the right, the National Treasury in 2019 issue a instruction that we call it the 50 PM Infrastructure Delivery Procurement Management. And actually say we need to follow a specific route for the delivery of capital project. And these are the way that we do. On the left, you will see the portfolio management process in green, where we are responsible for. That is a long-term management plan that we do every year. It's a 10-year horizon, if not more. Then the second one is the program management process that is linked to the MTEF allocation of the specific year. And we are also responsible for the delivery. Then we have the operation and maintenance management process. So this is more on the maintenance component of the, and I will share, the roles and responsibility in our department. And then the last one is the implementation. The implementation, of course, is currently is done in collaboration with the Department of Infrastructure. Now, on this, the maintenance, the capital backlog. And when I say capital backlog, is it's including everything. It's including maintenance. It's including capital. So it's actually, if we want to have the perfect asset portfolio in the Department of Health with all our facilities that we have, we need something like almost 40 billion rand. And then you can see that is quite a substantial amount. We have also an issue that our infrastructure environment is also affected by quite a big increase in cost. And again, on the right, there is a cost increase percentage over the last few years. Now you will see that the big increase came up again during COVID, and now we are set at something like 6.5 and 7.8%. These are two different indexes that are used by the environment, infrastructure environment, the industry. So we are again above inflation. And we are actually, what the problem is with our project, that the longer they take to be completed, more they are costing due to the escalation cost. And this is something that we are really concerned about, because some of our projects, in our view, take a little bit too long. But we are working on it, and we try to make it project delivery much faster. The grant, I mentioned already the source of funding. And I need to mention the grant in kind. That is the second one. This is a amount that is managed and implemented by the National Department of Health. I know that in some previous discussion, they were very concerned about this project, and I will explain what is happening at the moment. Then, of course, we have earmark infrastructure money, PES. And then we have earmark maintenance for Tageberg. This is something started in 2018 to try to keep the Tageberg Hospital facility correct functional until the new hospital is in place. And the last one, something that we are working very hard to get more and more, is the donation in kind. So that is the current situation in relation to funding and cost. Now, what are our priorities? Okay, on the right is a copy of the front page of our last user asset management plan. And on the left is all the list of our priorities. And these are priorities that we put in place since, when we started with 2013, 2015, around about. So, of course, the major priorities on primary health care. And then, of course, every year we look at the different hotspots that sometimes we have to deal and try to, do it in the fastest way as possible. So this year, for example, we did we call it interim emergency center at Robertson Hospital due to the huge increase of population that is happening in that area. Then the regulatory and statutory requirement that we have to consider it, because as you know, we have to comply with occupational health and safety. We need to comply with the fire legislation, and then we have in total we have a huge amount of lift. We have almost 600 lift, so 556 that needs to be maintained and needs to be upgraded. And then, of course, we look after the new building. And then over the last few years, we started, for both reasons, the climate change and the ESCOM performance, we started with try to improve our capacity to produce electricity with photovoltaic panels. So this is something that we have been working hard in the last few years, and we will continue to try to, for example, we did a nice project at Parle Hospital, and we're busy now with Red Cross, Mossel Bay, and we did also in Hermanos, the panel. And then, of course, I mentioned already the 3 mega project. So just for clarity, BFI is again the submission for the BFI for the 2 Trefontaine and Bellar was sent to National Treasury in 2019, and in 2020 we received the approval of the preliminary funding. But as you know, we received it in, I remember, I think it was February in 2020. But after 1 month, we had to deal with pandemic. So we didn't actually proceed with these 2 projects for a couple of 2 years, because due to the first, to combat the pandemic, and then there was a vaccination program and so forth. ISA is Infrastructure South Africa, and they are looking at the project pipeline for the country, and they also support the prioritization of the project. And I forgot to mention that also Tagebe Central has been registered with the ISA. So the 3 projects are actually officially on the agenda of the national government. So we are quite happy that all of them they are going to be prioritized by National Treasury. On the budget program, budget trends, this is the slide with the total allocation that we receive, and of course, and the different increase per financial year. We, as I said, the financial year is the increase is also coming for the what is the name, the performance grant, incentive grant. Sorry, the incentive grant. And then you will see in 27-28 is a big spike, because we are going to be receiving hopefully this 250 million for the HT at Tagebe Central Hospital. Then we receive also some allocation from the Premier Department on the energy. So we are using this for the solar photovoltaic. And then some other project that we did, the Proteskia, that was a earmark allocation that was ended in 2021. And of course, the COVID, as I already mentioned. Then this is investment per nature of investment. So I mentioned the new capital, R&R, upgrade and maintenance, and the non-infrastructure. When we say non-infrastructure, we mentioned the payment or the procurement of HT, as well as we call it capacitation, because the team that is the professional team that are in the infrastructure unit are actually are paid by the national grant via an instruction that we received from National Treasury a few years ago. So there is, as I mentioned, the link between maintenance and R&R. So as a general statement, I would say that we do mostly, we look after our building as a high percentage. And as I mentioned, not a lot new. Of course, we have the big three mega projects. These are the projects that are currently in construction. We have 31 projects. I try to put them in alphabetical order and at different stages of construction. But you will see that mostly are R&R and some upgrades. There is a big upgrade at Groteskia for the emergency center that is coming from quite a long time. Then there is a replacement of clinics. For example, one is Revesmead in the metro, another one is Mossel Bay, the George Road clinic replacement. There is a new facility that we are currently busy building, is number 18, Filippi Feltefriede. This is not going to be new because there is actually consolidation between different facility in the Mitchellsplein area. And then, of course, there are other upgrading. And Mitchellsplein Hospital, for example, is quite a relatively new hospital, but unfortunately, we need to replace the fire doors. So this is something that we are working on. Then these are other projects in construction. And as you see, the location on Tigerberg is, as I mentioned, we are using for the mainly for the rehabilitation of the engineering system. But the new warehouse is going to be built, is a new building that is required by the hospital, will be built in an area that is not going to be part of the new hospital. So it's going still to be used when the new hospital is going to be functional. And the laundry, we have a regional laundry that serves our facility, and we need the linen warehouse. So over the years, we've been trying to store linen where was available the space, but now we agree that we need to build a purpose-built warehouse close to the laundry. And then Groteskia also got quite a big upgrading for air conditioning, because just for information, the new main block, the wards were built, when they were built in the 80s, they were built without air conditioning and same ventilation. So this is something that we are coming also from quite a long time, and we divide in different packages of work. And we are busy upgrading and putting proper ventilation in the wards at the new main block. Then a replacement for a clinic in Saldana that we are currently is construction. And then the Ceres. The Ceres is quite an interesting project. It's actually a building that we acquired in 2022. It was a Mediclinic, Netcare hospital that was put on for sale. And then now we are busy creating a proper CDC that Ceres doesn't have a proper CDC. They got a CDC, but it's located at the hospital at the moment. So we move it to the property build. Then some other project currently in evaluation or adjudication process. And then a project that will be in procurement for in this financial year. And then project that will be procurement in the 26-27. So that among them, there will be the Haute Bay Clinic, CDC. and then other project that we will see in procurement 27-28. The mega project, as I mentioned, they gave us an allocation, but as I mentioned, we couldn't spend it due to COVID. So since then, Treasury has not given us additional funding. So we are using the grant, and it's quite a big problem for us because we are running out of money. So we are trying to get our utmost best to get National Treasury funding for these two projects. And Tageberg Central, we did the feasibility study, and now we need to redone our financial model to check affordability and value for money. As you know, is one of the requisites for a PPP, but we are busy with the output specification at the moment, and we would like to advertise a request for quotation in April 2026. But of course, we need to go back to Treasury for what we call a TA2, that is the second approval for the affordability. These are very few slides. I want just to go quickly, just to show you the current status of Velar. Velar is it's 460 beds, and it's a quite tight site. So you will see that we are trying our best to put the large hospital on 3 floors. That is much easier to as a functionality point of view. So, and we see the site is quite busy. Then Cliffontaine is also a quite tight site, but again we have a model on 3 floors, and is something that we are working very hard to make the projects affordable also from national health, because national health needs to we call it peer review the project and give us the go ahead for the funds for this together with National Treasury. Tageberg, this is a drawing from the site development plan, because when we do any development, the city requires the plan. So we are working on reviewing the entire estate of 68 hectares at Tageberg, because this is quite a big opportunity for that part of the city to be revitalized. So the white, like you see, are the new buildings that we are envisage. Of course, the hospital is just a place, not of course the design. And the brown one are the current facility. What I want to highlight it is if you look at on top, when below the University of Western Cape Dentistry, you will see that the current building is partially demolished. So the wings that are D and E wings in the hospital are going to be demolished, as well as the C block. And the reason is because we want to keep the old hospital, but we cannot keep it as it is, because it's not going to be very, very friendly. So we are busy designing something that is going to be pleasant and utilize the utilization we are working on together with other partners like universities and other government departments, because of course there is a big potential for this estate to become something very, very nice for the city, including the new hospital. Then the grant in kind. I mentioned these are the projects on the left, all of them in the Garden Route district. And the project sponsor, as I mentioned, is a national department. They appointed IDT, and there is a dispute between National Health and IDT. And we follow up. We try to follow up every month. But there is something that we cannot do anything about it, because we offer to do the project. We offered, but the National Department wants to clarify the matter with the IDT. So we have been waiting feedback. I know it's very frustrating, but that is something that we are trying to solve. The risk, and I'm not going to stop to go quick on all of them, but I just want to, in general, when we manage infrastructure project, is managing the risk is actually the job of architects and engineers, is just to manage risk. So we have a lot of risk in relation to infrastructure. So procurement, finance, planning, delivery, community stakeholder risk, it's something that we are dealing is actually quite sad. For example, if you look at we are currently we want to build Hanover Park CHC replacement, and we did the last year a project for fencing the site to try to mitigate the risk of land invasion. But the fence was badly damaged. That so much that we have to redo it again. So it's actually quite a lot. It's sad that we have to erect fence and then do the fence again due to vandalism. Another site that we lost during COVID was a site that we set aside for the Northern Hospital, that is a district hospital. We found that we had a site owned by the provincial government in the Blucomboss, but during COVID was invaded, and now we lost that site. Then, of course, environmental climate change is a big issue. So we are looking at the facility to become more and more resilient in relation to extreme weather events. As you know, the hospital needs to be running in case of disaster. And of course, we cannot have the same problem that the hospital in Somerset had, Berkelingen in the Mediclinic one that was flooded. Then, of course, I mentioned already the integration with the medical equipment, and then, of course, the employment expectation and local economic participation. So it's a quite difficult environment, especially in the last few years with the coming of the construction mafia, and we are quite, concerned, of course, with the Department of Infrastructure and also with the Department oversight, police oversight. We work, and I know there is an intention to have a major, more kind of strategy in relation to this risk. And then donation in kind. I mentioned already that these are quite very well received, and we try our utmost best to try to source the donation in kind. Donation in kind means that we receive the building or the part of the building that has been donated. So the maintenance, for example, of the mill that we have, Alexandra, was very well received, because of course we don't have money to upgrade or maintain the mill, but we receive a very nice donation from an organization. And then of course the other unlisted. Now, conclusion. So the urgent priorities, it's for us, it's the high value medical equipment, and the mega infrastructure project I mentioned, the critical maintenance, the compliance. The challenge is the backlog, the shortfalls, and the increasing cost. And then, of course, the legal disputes and planning bottleneck, and that is something that we are working very hard to try to smooth. But as I mentioned, the delivery of infrastructure is a very complicated kind of process. And then, investment in technology and infrastructure is investment in patient care, of course. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson. Thank you, Dr. Angeleti Tutwe. We're happy for questions. Thank you.
Thank you, HOD. Thank you, members. Is there any questions? I don't see any hands. Can I just kick off, Dr. Angeleti Tutwe, if I can just kick off, and then I see there's other hands. I'll just kick off with this one. The one concern is the 3 mega projects, and you say you're running fast out of money, and you will have to ask National Trade to assist. You know, this Klipfontein in Belhar, these hospitals, you know, it's all in the public domain, and people is waiting for the delivery of these hospitals. And now, if you can just give us, will the hospitals, Klipfontein and Belhar, and maybe Tiger will say, will these mega projects stay on course? You know, if you look at it and running out of finances, what are you going to do? So I just want to throw that out, but I'll just give there's 3 members' questions, and then you can answer them all together. First is Member Masipa, then Member Petrus, and then Member Pat Lekker. Member Masipa, over to you.
Thank you, Chairperson, and really thank you to the Department of Health for brilliant presentation. Chair, my question really relates to the 39 billion rands or 40 billion rands infrastructure backlog. While we have got this number, do we have a breakdown in terms of which areas and so forth that you can share with us? That's number one. Sorry for the noise. I am in the provincial legislature, and there's some work happening on the building. The second question around the 40 billion is what is the projected, the medium-term needs? So you have given us the backlog, but what is the medium-term needs in terms of infrastructure maintenance? I think that will probably just help us as members to understand this. I conducted an oversight at Abdurrahman and Heideveld, what do you call them? The primary health care clinics. One of the key concerns for me is the dilapidation in some of those areas, especially the Abdurrahman, where, during rainy season, there are obviously challenges. I think the question for me is, how do you really fast track those kind of smaller maintenance that will not really cost you billions? They will really be quick, getting a painter, getting, funds, to even donors, I'm sure they can do that. How do you really ensure that you fast track those kind of smaller challenges? The last one on Abdurrahman, there is a piece of land adjacent to Abdurrahman. And my fear is that when we ask the question, let me just start there. When we ask questions about who really owns the land, I don't think that anyone really knew who's owning the land. And my fear is that those kind of pieces of land is between the mosque and the hospital, is that those kind of land can easily be occupied by, illegal dwellers and so forth. Is there a way that, you can start engaging with the city of Cape Town, try to understand, because the capacity there at Abdurrahman is really too small to accommodate and to service the community there. Chair, those are my questions. Thank you very much, and thanks for the presentation.
Thank you, Member Masipa. Member Petrus.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, colleagues. When last did you speak to national government about the impact of the disputes on clinics in George and the Western Cape? And did you spend all your money that you receive for the development of infrastructure?
Thank you, Member Petrus. Member Pat Lekker.
Thank you, Chairperson. Let me welcome the presentation from the department. Chair, I think when it comes to hospitals like the Klipfontein Hospital, as you have already alluded, this is a matter of public interest. I want to know first, where is Klipfontein Hospital going to be built? The area. and perhaps, if possible, the F number. 2, I want to know what is the progress that has been done in relation to that work. 3, with regards to the 40 billion, as Member Masipa has already requested that we get a breakdown, I would also want to know how much has the department spent on the both hospitals, Klipfontein as well as Bela, how much has been spent thus far. Then maybe the third one, the fourth question, Chair, would be around the 3 R's, rehabilitation, renovations, and refurbishment. I want to know, Chairperson, particularly when it comes to KTC 24-hour facility in Gugulethu. Is there any work that is going to be done in that hospital, particularly in relation to the 3 R's? Because I conducted an oversight there recently, and I felt that a lot needs to be done. So I want to know, is Gugulethu Day Hospital counted? I don't know if it's called day hospital or 24-hour facility. Is it counted amongst those 3 R's as part of the projects that will be undertaken? Lastly, Chair, there was mention of the fire doors at the Mitchell's Plain Hospital. And I'm going to ask an honest question, because way back in 2017, the ANC conducted an oversight there. And there was mention that there was no fire doors. It was still new. There was no fire doors there. And I want to know what exactly is this new construction that is taking place, because I'm driving past them most of the time. What does it entail? Is it the fire doors that were not there, or the fire doors were there, but they were just not done in the proper way? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Member van Wyk. I'm going to give you opportunity, and then the department. I think that is the last time, Member van Wyk.
Thanks, Chair. Yes, certainly. Thanks very much for this report, and giving us a broader view on infrastructure. Certainly these mega projects have been before us before, and so I think we understand the need for these big hospitals and the big spend that's going to be undertaken. But I think if we look at the worsening financial situation that the country faces, and it then comes down to the options and of funding such huge projects, and there's no doubt we are going to need these projects, these hospitals in place in the next decade, probably less than the next decade, to deal with our population growth and deal with the needs of citizens. I believe we're certainly going to need to be looking at other options on how to fund these type of projects, and it's probably something that we need to start giving attention to now, even though we may only need the funding in 2 or 3 years if we look at the rollout of Tygerberg and some of those big numbers. And I think those big 3 are probably of the order of 20 billion, if I can remember correctly. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you very much, members. Dr. Kluter, over to you, and then you can pass it on as you see fit. Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you very much, Chairperson and members. So I will go very quickly, Member Christians, to start with the mega projects, and I'll combine your question with a question by Member Lekker and the question of Member van Wyk. Just to clarify, when Dr. Angeleti du Toit said we're fast running out of money, let me just clarify the statement. The allocation that was made around these projects. So we can't proceed with projects of this nature without the permission from the national department. So it's got stages. And because we got the permission before COVID, it was permission to start. If COVID was not going to happen, we would have proceeded with the planning, construction, all of those. What has happened is because it didn't happen in COVID, that amount of money that was given for planning, construction, and all of those have been used in the last 2 or 3 years. What we need confirmation was, once you have that permission and gets to the next phase and the next gate, it gets to a point where you're saying you got the construction, you got the plans, now you have to confirm the construction resource. Now, we're not at that stage yet. And that's why we're engaging with the national department to say that first permission, which happened before COVID, we've now done the planning, we're in the construction, we now need to go to the next gate of confirmation of the construction cost. But as Member van Wyk says, all of a sudden, that amount of money, which is kind of little for the planning and all of that, all of a sudden it jumps to big construction money. And it's not needed in this year or next year, it's needed in the year afterwards. But now is the time to actually start securing what that money is that is needed in 2 or 3 years' time. So I just want to clarify that statement, Member Christians. We don't want to create the impression that we're running out of money and we're stopping any work. It is in advance in where it is. And that speaks to Member Lekker's question. We can give you a breakdown of all the money spent to date on Klipfontein and Berhaal, mainly on construction and planning fees. Dr. Angelette Twe can tell you about the site because the site has been confirmed and we've had community engagements around that. So let me leave it there. But Member van Wyk, you're right. And Member Christians, this is what we're doing. We're engaging with Provincial Treasury and with the National Department of Health and with National Treasury in the next month or two to say construction costs in 2 or 3 years' time. Where is the resource for the massive in construction costs that we will need for the next 3 to 5 years? And that is where we need to then look together with National Treasury and Provincial Treasury. Is it going to come from the taxpayers' base, from what is in government, or is it going to come from a combination of government and other options of funding? And you're right, Member van Wyk, it's likely to take us into that, but we have a 2-3 year lead time to actually confirm all of those. So I just want to put all of that into perspective. If I go to the backlog, I think just to understand for Member Masipa the question, what Dr. Lara Angelette Twe is actually trying to say, if we have to take, and you heard the words that words, if we take an assessment of every health facility we have at this moment, we would say that they are in different categories of where they are, and it's a condition assessment. And if you take that as a baseline, we can tell you in any given year what if everything has to be in perfect condition. We are 40 billion short. So that perfect condition would include that Abdurrahman is in perfect condition. It would include that Heidelberg is in perfect condition, that Gugulethu CHC is in perfect condition, and every other health facility in the province is in perfect condition. That's the 40 billion shortfall we have. Now, obviously, because we don't have 40 billion to make everything perfect, which is almost impossible anywhere in the world, I would imagine. You can't have every health facility being perfect at any given time. That's what we talk about a backlog. What the team does, and Dr. Angelette, we can maybe come in and explain to you, all the facilities that you possibly can think of is part of that backlog. That's why it's not just the maintenance at those places, there's also R&R work that is planned at those places. What happens is the work, for instance, at Abdurrahman is somewhere in the schedule, but the work at Heidelberg is somewhere in the schedule. The work at Gugulethu is somewhere in the schedule. And at any given time, we need to make do with what we get to say what is the worst of, and there's trade-offs and decisions about doing that. The question that my members Masipa answered, which is really true, is we're also trying to de-link, let's call it medium to quite big upgrades from minor maintenance. And we have now given a delegated framework to facilities to be able to do minor main work and not wait and link it with the bigger things. So I hope that makes sense, Chairperson, just to distinguish between all of those. And as far as the land issue is in Abdurrahman, it is an issue that Dr. Angelette Twe around every health facility we are looking at the scope with the municipalities about clarifying land ownership in many places. That specific issue is probably linked to the city of Cape Town, and there is, in many instances, the issue about the deeds, who owns it, how it is, and we found quite a bit of this, but Dr. Anjali can just go a little bit into detail around that as well. Member Petrus, your question about the dispute with National Department with IDT. Because National Department is the contracting agent in this case, we are contacting them monthly, quarterly. We talk to them all the time. We have offered to say, please just give your in kind. We can add it to our structure and we can have our own implementing agent. The National Department is currently in a dispute with the IDP as their implementing agent. Obviously, we will speed it up. But as you can imagine, the resources that's allocated around that, which is not our resources, it's called in kind. It sits against the national budget. So you won't see any money against those things in Garden Route against our budget because it's in kind, it's held by the National Department. They are the ones that's supposed to spend it with IDT. And that's why we have a preference for these things that we say to National, please give the money, make it from in kind to an allocation, and we can locally manage it with all our other projects. But that is the status of that specific dispute. Member Lekker, just the second question, I think I've spent where it's going to be built. Dr. Anjali will quickly say that. I can tell you what has been spent to date and what the progress has been. Gugulethu, I think Dr. Anjali will give you a little bit more detail. It's a bit more complex. The 24-hour CHC at Gugulethu, it is one of the places that when it was built, it was not built for what it is now. What we need the replacement of that facility. The problem is it's not only that facility, we need more than one facility in that area. And we have a process to get a second facility built to take a bit of pressure off so that we can rebuild the first one. And that's the plan for Gugulethu, but it's very difficult to find space anywhere in Gugulethu for the second facility. But there is a process currently with the city and with the local community structures to find a solution. Dr. Anjali will also just clarify the issue of the fire doors. Are you comfortable with those, Laura? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, HOD. So I can start with the fire doors. I mentioned the fire doors, it's not, they were there, but they were designed in such a way that the fire doors were going to be used during the day. And this wear and tear over the last 10 years has required to redo the fire doors. So what we're doing now is to remove those doors, the fire doors, and to put them in a different position that are not going to be open and closed every time. So they will be stand open and will be closed only in case of a fire. So it's a different type of approach to the design. So the fire doors were there, but they were usable doors. Now we make it not usable doors, just in case of fire. So that is the project that Mitch explained. So the issue about Abdurrahman, of course, there are a lot of projects. So we are, I didn't spend a lot of time in the discussion, but as the HOD mentioned, we rate the facility from C5 to C1. C5 is the perfect condition, C4 needs some maintenance, C3 must be upgraded, C2 must be rehabilitated, C1 must be discharged. Or we cannot do anything about it. So what we try to do, we try to prioritize the project in such a way that the project are roundabout between 3 and 4 of the facility. So we do maintenance at Abdurrahman, and we are not planning the major upgrading soon, but there is ongoing maintenance that we provide. Gugulethu, as HOD said, we have a project in Gugulethu to rebuild the MOU and to upgrade as much as we can the CHC. But the big plan is to build a new Gugulethu community day center and then to rebuild completely the CHC. So that is the long term, but this one for the rebuilding of MOU and the upgrading of the current one is on the pipeline. And about Cliffontaine, just to give you some numbers, the design, our projects are designed in 5 stages. So stage 4 is the tender documentation. So when the project is about to be in construction, stage 5 is the construction phase. So the design of Bellar and Cliffontaine, that are similar size hospital, is going to cost 400 million rand, roundabout, as a fees. When we go in construction, the project cost is going to be around about 4-5 billion rand. So you can imagine that we have only 1.2 billion in the entire program 8. So this big amount of money that is only happening when this construction starts, we need to have a fund from the national government. So these are the. Then the other issue that I want to mention in Cliffontaine is the size. So the site is opposite the old GF Euste site, is where currently we have 2 schools there, Silverstream and Sonderend Primary School. Silverstream is going to be relocated to the School of Skills that is currently under construction on the older site of GF Euste Hospital. And Sonderend is a Planky school that is also going to be relocated in one of the schools that are in that area. So this is the site for Cliffontaine. The site for Bellar is in close, just opposite the University of Western Cape campus on the Bellar side, so close to Symphony Way. Just for that information. So we will provide all the costs that are currently, and then yes, and the site. I think I did answer to all the questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura. You did. Thank you. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, HOD and Doctor. Further questions we can ask as resolutions when the committee meets. Thank you for the presentation. Now we're going to move over to the next presentation. Over to you, Dr. Kluter.
Thank you, Chairperson. As again, Dr. Angelette du Toit will take us through the security plans for the next 5 years. Thank you, Dr. Angelette du Toit.
Okay, let me start. Okay, so I'm presenting because we are also responsible for the facility management directorate that is dealing with the security service. Okay, so this is a table of contents for today's discussion, and as the brief required, and we see what we are doing in the security space. Okay, starting with the legislation, again, quite highly legislated area, private security, industry regulation, National Health Act, and Occupational Health and Safety Act that required all the security for our staff and patient. Then, sorry, I must move to the next one. Okay. Then we have other act, and of course, the Public Finance Management Act. So, and then we have quite a lot of provincial and departmental policy and directive. These are all the physical safety circular and policy and strategy that the department has endorsed in the last few years. The security strategy per se, you will see that is dated 2021. We are currently looking at updating the current strategy because it's a very challenging kind of environment, security. But we are working on overall policy framework for the health and wellness department in relation to the safety of our staff and our client. Now, the incident, just to give you a very high-level information on where we are, what actually we are dealing with, you will see that we had 2,420 recorded security incident, and most of them are in relation to physical assault, verbal abuse, damage to facility property, and abscondment from facility. Of course, the theft and burglary is also quite a substantial kind of issue that we are dealing with, especially in relation to the stealing of computers, firefighting equipment, electrical cable, and so forth. That we have also, I would say, a witness of increasing physical and verbal abuse to staff. This is something that I notice is happening all over the world. Again, after COVID, there is something that has changed in the attitude, and we see our staff that is, especially the emergency center staff, that is affected. And then also, of course, EMS, and there is an increase in, I mentioned the EMS staff, and then we are also seeing the hijacking of GG vehicles recently. So what we are trying to do, and on the right, you will see there is how do we look at the security strategy. We look at the strategic direction on the as a base, then the design facility needs to design in such a way to improve security. And if you see the characteristic of our latest project, especially on the primary healthcare facility, you will notice that actually the design is taking consideration the security component, and also for the new hospital, for example, we started in Galicia, which is playing, you will notice that you have two different courtyards. One is an open courtyard and one is a security courtyard before you arrive at the entrance. And this is something that we are repeating at the new facility at Clifontaine and Bellar. Then, of course, there is the behavior, and then the use of the technology, alarm, access control, CCTV camera. I mentioned already the fencing, the lighting, and so forth. And the last resource, because it's the most expensive, is to deal with security guard and physical security. So what we have done in the last few years is to have some funding spent in the increasing using technology. So we had quite a lot of installation of CCTV camera and alarm response technology for our, especially the non-24-hour facility, so the clinics. And then, of course, we are working a lot with other stakeholders, especially in relation with the City of Cape Town, other municipality, with the police, and with the Department of Security, the Oversight Department of Safety, and of course the issue about the security guard and to have it security guard in our facility. Now, another one that it's the is the assistance that we provide in awareness for security. And this is, for example, some series of posters that were developed with some training for our staff, especially those ones that dealing in mental health units and emergency center. As I mentioned, they are the most affected one. In relation to security investment, it's a quite substantial investment. You will see that we have different, we have in-house security, we call security officer, and then we have the outsourced security that are the security guard. And the total cost is quite 400. This is cost for 24-25. Then I mentioned the installation, just for installation in 24-25. We did it in the Central Karoo district, all this facility, and the relevant cost for upgrading the security technology in the Karoo. Now, this is the outsourcing security investment trend. You will see there is a big jump from 22-23 to 23-24. And the reason is because one of the contractor went bankrupt, and we had to cancel the contract in the West Coast. And for that reason, for that year, we had to use a different contractor from the PT Provincial Treasury Security Framework that came up much more expensive. And then this year, we're looking at 5.4 million of saving in security. I know it's not a lot, but for us it's quite encouraging, because and we think that is due to the technology investment that we made in order to improve the security service. Now, we are managing the request for expansion of security, because, as you can imagine, it's a big issue that our staff at the facility are dealing with via two different ways. One is via temporary security expansion, that is for emergency, so something happened at the facility, and we need to increase security, and we use it to the emergency delegation. Another one is via a permanent security expansion, where we look at the security assessment is done by the team from head office together with the team at the facility. Then some recommendation are coming, and then the bid adjudication is recommending for approval. Then for this, how do we manage the contract? Is a lot of money. So we have monthly security performance management report. Then there are some oversight site visit. Then there is sharing report quarterly on security matter with the senior management. And then, of course, as awareness and training, we do via webinar. For example, now we are busy developing the anti-hijacking kind of training that we offer to our staff. As I mentioned, the hijacking of government vehicle came up quite dramatically in the last few months. I think we lost 3 or 4 vehicles that were hijacked. And then, of course, there is a checking with the contract with the relevant service provider for the compliance with the service level agreement. And so that the review of the private security contract is to try to have a better relationship with the partner that are providing security, and then work we try to be very strict in contract management. So in our service level agreement, there are penalties for non-performance or for underperformance, and then of course we do rate our facility in the different cases according to the risk. So in some area that are more the prices they will be quite different for the difficult areas. Then we are very proud of the collaboration with the provincial national safety structure. So we have a protocol between us and the city of Cape Town, and they place a law enforcement officer from the city at the 5 facility, and been proven that there's been a reduction on security incident since the appointment of the law enforcement officer. Then we have also developed together with the SEPS, Standard Operating Procedure, the National Department of Health that is also quite concerned about the security at the health facility in the national sphere. They entered into an agreement with the SEPS a few years ago. So we have done similar at the provincial level, and we have been working also with the Department of Police Oversight and Community Safety, that they are also assisting us, especially for the assessment, especially for forum and initiative with the communities, and then of course the joint incident response. And this is, So, and then I mentioned the technology-based security solution, and then that is becoming more and more prominent in our facility, and then is to prevent and to also react in a more effective, efficient manner. And then conclusion. So I mentioned the security strategy. We are working on revision and trying to improve. We are also busy. I mentioned already the assault to our staff. We call it a zero tolerance policy, and try to assist our staff at the call phase. To prevent and to deal with verbal or even physical abuse. Then we are busy with a new contract. The current one is expiring on the 13th of June. So there is a new contract that I'm busy finalizing. And then there is also other contract in relation to transversal access control. And then hijacking campaign I mentioned already in relation to try to prevent either hijacking. Another one that we are focusing in relation to staff security and safety is emergency center focus, because this is where mostly of our the assault and the verbal abuse is happening at the moment. So these are the current conclusion. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Chairperson.
HD, go ahead. HD, go ahead.
No, I just want to say thank you, Chairperson. That is our security input, and we're happy to take any comments or questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Member Masipa, I see you. Oh, thanks, Chair. I thought you were going to still recognize some hands. Can I go ahead or? Yeah, just wait. I see now Member Pat Lekker's hand is up. That's the hands I see at the moment. But Member Sipa goes, and then I'll see the other hands. Thank you. Thank you, Chair. And thank you once again, Dr. du Toit, for the presentation. Chair, I'm not really a big favorite of this private security. I have trained at Tigerberg SNS some 30 years ago. And I know the pride of the security, the pride they had, the security that obviously, looked after the hospital at the time. And there's absolutely no pride with the security that we have got. And again, on Abdurrahman, when I was there, I received reports with regards to hijackings that are happening outside the hospital. The patient come, and when they go outside, the cars are gone. And again, I think the piece of land adjacent to that hospital, I do believe that it's very important that maybe, some parking space for patients is being provided there. But I do believe that, in-sourced, in-house security, there's much more pride in executing their duties. And, your Tigerberg, your Grooteskiers that are big academic hospital, I would really recommend that that is being considered. My wife works at Tigerberg, and I do experience the security myself, when I go in there. I do believe strongly that, you've got to get security with pride, you know, and I do not know how your engagements in terms of really ensuring that they stick to what they need to do, but there is definitely some work that needs to be done if, you know, that performance management, you know, is being taken serious, but I think there's a lot of work that needs to be done. That's my contribution, Chair. In that regard, it was just really a comment and reflection on my experience. Thanks.
Thank you, Member Masipa. Member Pat Lecker.
No, thank you, Chair. Chair, I think Member Masipa has read my mind. We're spending a lot of money on private security. And as a citizen, I'm not getting any joy. I'm fortunate because I visit this facility most of the time, and you can see that not everything is done in a manner that you would say these people are taking pride in what they are doing. And I think that there should be a system. Insourcing security would be the best. And I'm sure if one would compare the amount of money used to pay private companies and what the department would pay if they have securities that are employed by government, it would be much lesser. And I'm sure we would find money where we don't, when we're using the system, we would have excess of money that we can use to cover other areas that we are unable to cover. And I think, Chair, I must say, I support what Member Masipa is saying. But also, Chair, I want to understand, in terms of the standard operating procedure with these companies, do we have an understanding that the security personnel must perform duties that would have been performed by our own people? I'm asking this because in 3 of the facilities that I have visited, I've seen security officers performing the job of a porter. And for me, it leaves me wondering, is this part of the SOPS agreement or what exactly is happening? And if it's not, Chair, I think one of the memos that must go out to the health facilities is that no security officers are to perform this type of responsibility. One typical example would be at Grooteskier Hospital. I went there to fetch my cousin brother, and some security had to operate as porters. It's a live-in experience that I have seen. So I think it makes me worried if such is being done by security officers, because obviously there are ways that are taught to porters on how to handle a person, which are not taught to security officers. But let me move there, Chair. So I want to understand in terms of the standard operation procedure, what is entailed in it. Then, Chair, if I come to the next question, with regards to CCTV installations, particularly in Central Karoo, are we going to see that type of security level in all other hospitals? Like, I'll mention again, your KTC day hospital in Guguletu, as well as the KDF. Because I think I've seen cases where people are hijacked, or rather people are attacked on their way to a facility to seek for help. So if there's a CCTV camera in operation, such could have been avoided. Is this a standard resource that would be sent to all our facilities, or this is just for Central Karoo District? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. I'm just going to throw in my bit also quickly. I might rehash some of this that the member said. Because I see your in-house security is 73, outsources 2,024, and of course the millions, 23 million and 442 million. Maybe if we can understand, what is your thinking around that? Why you outsource some and why some is in-house? Maybe just to give us some clarification on that. I just want to understand that. The second thing that I want to ask is, when the EMS goes into hotspot areas, they call on SAPs. And I don't know, your emergency delegation is, are you looking at your own security providing that protection to go into areas, hotspot areas? Because, SAPs, the vehicles is not easily available. People die waiting on SAPs. But I agree that your personnel cannot go into the area because it's a hotspot area, they get robbed. So I understand that, and they must wait for assistance. But sometimes they wait long for assistance and people die. Do you have some action plans on that? And then you have just said that five of your high-risk facilities in the metro, you have law enforcement there. So you're looking at expanding that? Because your metro area is the problem area. 64% of the incidents of the 2,420 occurs in the metro, only 36% outside in the rural areas. And of course, you have identified your areas where you need that, law enforcement. So are you looking at expanding that? Because as you rightfully said, that it brings down your incidents report. So that's a bit proactive, being proactive when it comes to that. And maybe lastly, if I can just ask the following question, that you have so many incidents, 2,420. So now with these law enforcement officers being deployed, did you see, what is your numbers like currently? I know it's a new financial year, but do you see at least, a 20-30% drop in those incidents? And those 2,000, you've mentioned it, but those 2,420, is it basically, is majority burglaries? Your staff is important. We see this hostilities when you get to hospital. People get violent in hospital. So just describe maybe your bigger percentage of these incidents. What are they, and how are you looking at remedy those? Thank you very much, HOD.
So thank you very much, Chairperson. I must say to you, I'm interested in the progression of the questions, and I'm going to play it back to yourselves as a committee. And I'm playing you in backwards, Chairperson, if you don't mind. If we are reporting to you that the only thing that's reducing the incidents is having law enforcement officers at our health facilities, what has happened to our society? Because I'm playing that back to you. And if you are asking us, now we must have more law enforcement officers at health facilities. Just think about it. Next thing we're going to be asked, are we going to be asking the police to have the law enforcement? Are we going to employ the law enforcement officer? Because that's how we've been. And I'll play it back to the security in-source and outsource. The problem that we face is that health facilities and health activities is no longer protected in society. That's a societal problem. And because it's no longer protected, we now have to intervene on a place which is supposed to be providing healthcare, with more and more law enforcement activities to be integrated into healthcare delivery. The question that you ask after that to us, we must wait for SAP's escort into dangerous areas. Why don't we get our own people to? So are we going to then employ policemen to take out ambulances into places where somebody has a need to be picked up? There's something seriously wrong with society. And there's something I would say to you, it's almost like it's surreal. I don't think anybody would have had this conversation if I play it back to Member Leka and Member Masipa. When we employed security guards back in 1970 or 1980, we didn't think that we're going to need police officers to do healthcare services. So you need to understand the context where we find ourselves in and the difficulty that we find ourselves in as a healthcare system, that we are forced to have an agreement with SAPS, an agreement with the city law enforcement, and that we have to step up to bring those protections into healthcare environments. These are supposed to be environments of healing. These are supposed to be environments which is an oasis in a community where people can come and receive healthcare. So that is a bigger question. As a health system, it makes it very uncomfortable for us to provide healthcare services and then to provide police services. It's not our job to provide police services. And in there lies the issue, because what has happened is the incident is no longer an incident that can be managed by a very, let's call it basically trained security officer. And in there lies that issue. Even the security industry, and that's all the acts and laws that Dr. Angelette du Toit has put forward, now has standards. When we had a security company and we couldn't, that person defaulted, we had to go to the one the Treasury's got. Because of all these regulations, we had to pay more money to get a security company with all the requirements that is there for the law. So it's a sad indictment on South African society. It's a sad indictment on our communities. It's a sad indictment of our societal problem that we as the healthcare system have to provide, basically going on to from basic security to advanced security to law enforcement to policing. It is really a sad indictment. But to answer your questions, we can give you a little bit of a more detailed breakdown on the incidents, because we do have that, Chairperson, and we can tell you what the major incidents are. And you will see when we explain to you the incidents, why we have the law enforcement agreement at certain places in the city of Cape Town. But those are also just pilots. I'll ask Dr. Angelette du Toit just to explain to you what we're doing with the city of Cape Town, because we're trying to figure out whether it works, figure out the best way of doing it, and then potentially roll out and scale where it's needed most. But recognizing that we should never be in the business of us providing police services as part of what we do as a healthcare service. I think that the SAPS escort, I've answered, Chairperson, but the problem, and that is the problem worldwide. The moment you add guns onto an ambulance, then we've lost the fight in terms of that. That is a terrible situation that our EMS colleagues are facing. The moment you put armed guards on that thing, then it's going to be targeted to get hold of the guns. Then you make our EMS personnel even more vulnerable in relation to that. So these are difficult situations to face. It is whole of society problems. We are engaging with just about everybody. And we have to take responsibility for our staff. And it's in that context. That brings me to outsource and insource. And as I said to you, there's a history to the outsource and insource. The insource is, as put by Member Masipa, was Provincial Tigerberg. It was the big facilities. And if we had to employ security guards at the rate of what we were employing at Tigerberg, I mean, for us to have that, it's to have, then we're basically saying we're going to have an in-source security service in our department. We then become a big security company, so it is a big consideration to think. And the insourcing is actually still a lag from a previous place where we had security guards here and there. But the nature of what we had to do to deal with this, it's what led to the need for an outsourcing. Now, Member Lekker, you're right. Member Masipa, you're right. If we have a poorly performing contractor, there is contract management, there are standard operating procedures, what people should be doing, what they should not be doing, and they should be held accountable. And that's part of the problem of this industry, because there's literally, when we do the tenders, there's literally so many different entities that pop up. And to make sure that you get the high quality for the money that we pay, there's a big contract management responsibility that comes with it. So we take all of that seriously. There are very clear standard operating procedures. And again, I guess what you're describing at Grootske, I can only imagine what's happening there. And that is people that work in the facility, their support assured, people are working together because they're a team, they work together. and then somebody starts doing what somebody else would have done. But there are clear delineation of what is expected of people. I think this speaks to the complexity of our human resource strategy. And just for a minute, just think about it. We have not enough nurses, not enough doctors. We now have to weigh up. We don't have enough people to maintain our buildings. We don't have enough people to actually provide the cleaning around the facility. And that's all the difficulties we face in terms of making decisions of who is employed, what's the best employment, and what is the core thing of what we do. Dr. Angelito, you want to add to the specifics around this?
Thank you, Judy. The only comment I want to add is about the CCTV camera. Yeah. I mentioned that is, I only mentioned what we did in 24-25, but we started before, and the idea is to use the technology more and more. So it's not going to be only the central Karoo. We will incrementally try to use technology in all our facilities. Yeah, and that's it. That is my only comment. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much for the presentation. No, HOD, it's true. It's a sad reality that we are living in. When I sit on education, the educators tells us we are here to educate, and now we must spend 20 million on security, you know. So we are serious, and I see where you're coming from. It's a sad reality. But I think you also know that, you know, our staff at our hospitals is important to make sure that they are under safe conditions, our EMS under safe conditions. And that is our concern. That is our concern. It's not, you know, to say, and we know your job, but I think education is shouting out the same. We don't have money to employ more teachers, but we must concentrate on security. So we're sitting in that. Members, is there any further questions before we thank the HOD and Dr. Angeleti Tutwe? I don't see any hands. Okay, thank you very much, HOD and Dr. Angeleti Tutwe, for this fantastic and in-depth presentations that you shared with us this morning, and it's highly, highly appreciated. HOD, if you maybe want to make some concluding remarks before I let you go.
Thank you so much, Chairperson, and thank you to the committee. On behalf of Minister Wenger as well, I think she contacted you. She really wanted to be part of this as well. She's in the Cabinet Bosporon. We really appreciate the fact that you've afforded us this opportunity out of that scope hearing to share with you a glance into the complexity, but also to hopefully share with you that we take these matters very seriously. I really want to commend Dr. Angeleti Tutwe and her team, Ms. Isaacs and a team from supply chain, Mr. K, all the colleagues in our department that work very hard to do all of these. But primarily, we're really, really thankful for you and the committee for the oversight that you provide, for asking us the tough questions, for giving us the opportunity to explain what we're doing. Your oversight make us function better, and we really appreciate that. Thank you so much, Chairperson and members.
Thank you, HOD. Yes, Mr. Davids, if you can just record it, the minister did contact me and to say that in a Cabinet Bosporon. So thank you, HOD, for reminding me. Thank you, HOD and Dr. Angeleti Tutwe for your presentations. You may go. Have a fantastic day.
Thank you, sir. Bye-bye. Bye-bye, members.
Members, we're just going to do some resolutions and then we need to do the minutes of the 23rd of April. Mr. Davids, over to you.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Chairperson, if I can just share what I've captured so far with which emanated from this meeting, Chair. Chair, can you see the screen, Chair?
Yes, we can see the screen.
Thank you, Chair. So it's basically, Chair, for today's meeting, Chair, it is basically what I've captured, Chair. What the department said that they will submit, Chair, is a breakdown of the geographical areas within the Western Cape, which are affected by the 40 billion infrastructure backlog, as well as a cost breakdown on the expenditures of Klipfontein and Belhar hospitals from inception to date, including what Dr. Kluter and Dr. Angeletta de Tooy spoke about now, Chair, about the details of the incidences regarding the medical emergency medical services, Chair, entering hotspots, including the memorandum of understanding between the department chairperson and the security services, Chair, which is basically SAPS. There we go, Chair. So those are the three resolutions or requests for information that has been captured. I did note, person, that Member Lekker spoke, requested, or Member Lekker spoke about the insourcing of security services, including the SOP. There was a concern that was raised by Member Lekker about the security services at hospitals like Grooteskier, which must do porter duties and other medical staff duties, Chairperson. I can put that in the minutes, or must we ask the department chairperson to come or just to give a response to that, Chair? And then Member Petrus, sorry, Chair?
Yeah, go. No,
And
I'm
then-
going to give the hands now.
Oh.
Those three members, their hands are
Yes.
up. Member Petrus, Member Lekker, Member Masipa. But Mr. Davids, if you maybe can just insert that they
Yes,
also
Chair.
give us the exact location of the Belhar and the Klipfontein, the exact location where it's going to be built. Maybe that will help. Member Petrus first for your, and then Member Lekker, and then Member Masipa. Member Petrus.
Thank you, Chairperson. Now, Mr. Davis can continue, because it is in relation with what I was saying about the disputes, and we can't let national government go on with the dispute.
There we go, Chair.
Chairperson.
Yes, Chair. So,
Thank you very much.
So
Yes.
that is exactly, Chair, what I wanted to raise now. Member Petrus raised the question when the departments engage with national regarding upgrades of facilities with regards to disputes, etc., Chair. And then there was also the RRR of Guguletu Hospital that was raised by Member, and Mitchell's Plain District Hospital by Member Lekker as well, Chairperson. And then the CCTV installations in Central Karoo, will it be rolled out in all of the hospitals in the Western Cape?
Thank you very much, Member Lekker.
Thank you, Chair. Actually, I wanted to say I did not get a response on the fire doors in Mitchell's Plain Hospital. So I would have asked for a detailed answer in that regard, because there's construction underway at the moment, and the fire doors escape is part of that construction, as mentioned on the board. So I wanted to understand exactly, was this fire doors not part of the initial construction that took place in Mitchell's Plain, or it's something new? Because you would recall, when a building of that nature is being built, it must come with the specifications. So I want to understand exactly what is happening there. And then this one of the SOPs. Thank you, Chair.
Yeah, Member Lekker, Dr. Angelita du Toit did answer that. She said that the doors is now 10 years old. They did install the fire doors, but it was used as doors open and close. Now, the new doors that they're going to put up is doors that are going to stay open. They're only going to close it when there's fires. So that is what she answered. They did install the doors initially, but they used the doors open and close. For 10 years, they went 10. Now they replaced the doors. So now the new strategy is to keep the doors open, only to close it when when there's a fire. Was that not sufficient, Member? Member Lekker, was that not sufficient?
No, I'm happy now that they say they used the fire doors for something else, because when we went there, it looked as if there's no fire doors at all, because it was just not used for that purpose.
Okay. Thank you very much, Member Masipa.
Chair, sorry for the delayed speaking. The point 3.1, where my question really was to say that I know that Dr. Klute tried to answer, but he did not get to this. He answered he actually, his emphasis was on the 40 billion, but I just wanted to see what would the picture look like if they consider a medium-term budget. So this is the backlog that they are talking about, that as of today, the backlog is 40 billion. But what will the picture look like if they have to take the medium-term focus to say that with the backlog plus the medium-term, what will the need be like? I think that's something that maybe we can ask. I'm not a permanent member of this committee, but I do believe that this is an important information that will help in terms of really further engagements in this regard. I hope I'm clear. The chair? It looks like chair is not here.
Chair, just you're on mute, Chair.
But Dustin, you got I think maybe to and what will it take to continuously kind of maintain the infrastructure? What is the ideal need to maintain the infrastructure in a medium term once you have cleared the backlog? Thank you. I think Chair is muted.
Members, I don't know what happened there now. Were we all kicked out? Or I'm the only one kicked out? Mr.
Chair,
David?
you were the only one that was kicked out, Chair.
Okay. No, I just wanted to say, Member Masipa also mentioned the Dr. Abdurrahman, the vacant piece of land there. I think they must just give us some indication. Are they engaged? They said they're engaging the city, but that facility, he says, is maybe for illegal squatters. I think we should get maybe some input on that, how far they with making sure that they maybe occupy that land. I just thought I want to throw that in. Member Van Wyk?
Thanks, Chair. Took me a bit of time to find my mouse here. But, I think I'm a little bit concerned about what we're requesting in 3.1 and 3.2, because the department has come to us and given us an infrastructure report where they have indicated that they've got a 40 billion rand infrastructure backlog. And I think as members of the committee should recall in our engagements with the department last year, they, certainly given the figures of round about 20 billion for Tygerberg, for Klipfontein, and for Belhar, as being the big projects that they need to undertake, and there's certainly elements of that work is included in their annual budget. They also indicated to us that in their current budget, they're talking about 1.2 billion, I think, and they also listed all of the projects that are currently in different phases of construction. That was those Dr. Anjaletti de Toy spoke about the 51 projects, and she went through the various pages and did that. So they've given us a geographic breakdown of where the projects are that they are doing. I'm not sure now whether committee is then asking for the values attached to each one of those, and then included in the NTF is obviously work that is being undertaken as part of those bigger projects, even though they go to further years. So I think as committee, we then need to be quite specific what we would like to do, because it would almost indicate that we haven't raised those issues specifically while department was here, and that we got the report that is before us, Chair.
Thank you very much, Member Van Wyk. Member Pat Lekker.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, I'm coming to the issue of a second facility or a new facility being built for Gugulethu. And maybe if I can propose, Chair, there's a piece of land in NY 108 where there was the old Uluntu Center. Can we recommend that the department establish who owns that piece of land and see if that piece of land, Uluntu, there's no H there, ne? Yes. So if the department can look into that piece of land and see who owns that land and find ways if they must buy it or whatever. But that piece of land, there was a community skills center or something, which has since been demolished. So can we find out what's happening for that piece of land, because it's around Gugulethu. The second one, which I think would also be used for such, seeing that there's always an appetite to move schools from one point to another. There's a primary school in NY 18. NY 18, there's a school there. It's used as a second chance for matriculants. It's an old building, dilapidated, that also can be explored. That piece of land can be explored for this second facility, even if it's a double story, because it's not as big as the one in NY 108. So this one, maybe it can be done as a double story of some sort. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Member Lekker. Member Masipa, I hope you can help us with what Member Van Wyk is saying. Member Masipa.
Yes, that's precisely the reason why I raised my hand. I worked with numbers for many years, and I'm still working with numbers. Member Van Wyk, I hear what you are saying, but in my understanding is that I'm not a permanent member of this committee. Let me just also put that disclaimer. In my understanding is that the 40 billion here budgeted is for infrastructure backlog. So what created that infrastructure backlog is because there was probably shortage in terms of funding. So now once you have got the 40 billion infrastructure backlog cleared, what will be the infrastructure maintenance going forward? I think that's the question that I think maybe the committee would like to know, on an annual basis, what will be your infrastructure maintenance look like? And that's the question that I was posing. But if you have got those figures, I'm not talking about addressing the backlog, but I'm talking about you have cleared your 40 billion infrastructure backlog, but what will it look like to maintain for the next, 3 to 5 years? What will the figure look like? I hope I'm clear enough. But if you have got those figures, I'm fine with it. Thanks.
Member Van Wyk.
Yes, Chair. I think, maybe I'm just trying to think, how do we be practical about what we are asking? Because on the one side, we can go and say to the department, okay, give us your MTEF infrastructure spend for the 3 years and the maintenance that you're going to be undertaking. And if you can split that down into geographical areas, then we will get to that type of number. I think they referred to a figure of 1.2 billion there. Maybe that's only for the current financial year. So I think that will then deal with that aspect. I think what we've got to bear in mind is that the 40 billion that they're talking about is they have to go and do that to bring the hospitals up to standard. And that includes 3 of the mega projects, which are going to be extending well into probably to about 2030 type of time span or beyond that in doing that. So I think, let us find out then over the MTF what that infrastructure spend and what the maintenance is then going to be. And, maybe they can then, as an additional point, then indicate what the preferred or expected maintenance spend would be, maybe over a 5-year period as opposed to a 3-year period. I don't know if that would make committee happy, because I think it becomes very difficult for them to talk beyond 5 years at this stage, given the uncertainty of the fundraising that needs to be accessed for the mega projects. I don't know if that will help us in some way.
Thank you, Member Wyk. I'm going to give Member Petrus now. I don't know if your hand is down, Mr. Davids. I'm just thinking, committee, just to latch on the 40 billion infrastructure backlog that they were talking about was, of course, if you want all your facilities in pristine condition, and they said in the world it will never be that. So I think maybe Member Van Wyk's got a point there. If we can break it down to maybe 3-year MTF, what is the plans for maintenance, something in that regard. But I'll be guided by you. But remember, Mr. Davids, you want to add something?
Yes, Chairperson. Maybe just to assist the committee on 3.1 and 3.2, Chair. Chair, if I will advise the committee perhaps to ask first the department for the user asset management plan, the UM. That's a 5-year strategic plan of all the buildings and the maintenance that's over 5 years. That is basically, and also in all the areas that is basically earmarked for maintenance and for renovation, Chairperson. It's quite a thick book. I can perhaps ask them to give it to us in PDF. Then I can email it to the members and then ask them, Chairperson, if there's anything beyond the UM that perhaps does not speak to 3.1 and 3.2, that they then give an additional report with the UM, Chairperson, with the user asset management plan of all their facilities in the Western Cape over the next financial 5 years, 5 years, Chairperson. So in that report, I will do the breakdown of the, there we go. Yes, it's the strat plan, but then they've got a separate UM document as well. It's about 500 pages of just their facilities and the infrastructure, what they plan to do, what they have done so far financially, etc. Prof. Mbombo, she will probably know what I'm talking about here. And then basically just ask them, in addition to the UM, if there's anything more that they would like to add to maybe 3.1 and 3.2, Chair, that the UM does not speak about, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Mr. Davids. I don't know, Member Peters, was your hand up?
Yes, thank you, Chairperson. Chairperson, the rural areas are part of the Western Cape. And the people of Mossel Bay and George and all the other areas, towns in the Western Cape, they need that facilities. So can we engage with national government to speed up that process of that disputes, or maybe we can take over that project and complete it. So I want that to be part of it. That is important for us here. It's not only the city of Cape Town or that or the towns near the city that must get us facilities. We also need it in the rural areas.
Thank you, Member Petrus. Committee, if I can just bring us back quickly, I think if we ask that UAMP, I think that should be, I don't think we should add to that. I think the UAMP, and like you said, if there's additional information, they can send us that. I think that will help us with those points, Mr. Davids. And then Member Peters has now said, spoke about the disputes on national government. Let's just get a report from the department about the disputes. If they can, they are saying, Dr. Anjaletti du Toit said that they are in communication with the national department on a monthly basis. If they can just give us what is the latest of the last engagement, and then we can work on that. Then we can work on, and we want to be briefed. We want to be informed on a regular basis on the interaction with the national government, and then maybe see what comes from that. I think we have in the past, Mr. Davids. I know some of our committees have in the past called national departments to appear in front of our committees. But I just think if we just ask them, the Department of Health, to give us what is the latest on those disputes, and is there any movement? If there's no movement, we will have to think of alternative ways how to engage, the national department if it's necessary. Members, I don't know if you're happy with Member Petrus.
No, I'm not happy, Chairperson. We mustn't become spokespersons for the departments. We are here to play an oversight role. And I think it is important that we must be fair in this committee. It's important for us that projects. It was part of the report. It was highlighted in the report. So it was important for the officials to mention it.
So your proposal is, Member Petrus?
Chairperson, that we put pressure on national government to solve their disputes, and that we engage with them in relation to that disputes, Chairperson.
So that's why, but Member Peters, I'm not saying we're the spokesperson, the people of the Department of Health. I just want us to get all the documentation necessary. If we see it's not sufficient with the last engagement, then we can just look at, do we need to, because you see, you don't call in, you call in the national minister, or you must call in the national HOD, and that we've done in the past. It's not a problem, but I'm just saying let's us prepare ourselves and get what did the department, what is the latest, and if we're not happy with that, then we call the national department. I don't think there's a problem with that, but I just want all the information so that we are abreast of everything before we call in the National Department of National Minister. Member Peters, does it help, or you're still not? Will that help?
Let's continue, Chairperson.
Thank you very much. Members, is that it? Before we go to the minutes, is that all the resolutions that you've mentioned? Thank you very much, members. Mr. Davis, let's move to the minutes of the 23rd of April. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chair. I'm just calling it up quickly. I'm just calling that one up for you, Chairperson. There we go, Chair. Let me just call it up for you. Apologies for the long wait. Chairperson, can you see the minutes, Chair?
Yes, we can.
Okay, Chair. So it's basically just a meeting that was held between the Department of Police Oversight and Community Safety, including the Western Cape Liquor Authority, Chair. Chair, there were additional members. There was an alternate member, Member Nkondlo. Oh, yes, Member Nkondlo, Chairperson, gave in an apology for today's meeting, Chair. She's not feeling so well. And then Chairperson as well, Chair, the Minister also gave an apology, and she had other ministerial appointments to attend to, Chair. And then Chairperson, it was basically just where the department briefed us, Chairperson, on the Western Cape, for the various contracts, etc., and treasury regulations, Chair. And then Mr. Simeon George briefed the committee on the fines, penalties, and forfeits, etc., Chair. And then Mr. Kluti briefed the committee on the Cape Nature Complaint, Chairperson, on his concern, Chair. The committee adopted the minutes of the 26th of March, Chair. And then, Chair, there's just two resolutions that emanated from this meeting, Chairperson. It is basically that a letter be written to Minister Patel and the head of the Auditor General to inform them that the committee engaged with Mr. Kluti on his complaint regarding Cape Nature, and that a legal opinion be obtained from the legal unit of WCPP regarding this whole matter of Cape Nature, Chair, and moving forward if the committee does resolve on that, Chairperson. So that's those were the two pertinent resolutions at the end of the meeting 2 weeks ago, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Davids. Can I get a proposer and seconder for the minutes? Member Van Wyk, is that a second, or you want to raise something?
No, I'll propose.
Thank you, Member Van Wyk. Is this Member Van Wyk propose? Who seconds?
I do, Chair.
Thank you very much, Member Lekker. Thank you very much for seconding that. Members, I think, Mr. Davids, is there anything else?
Chair, there's nothing else, Chairperson. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, members. The meeting is adjourned, and have a blessed day.
Thank you and goodbye.
Member Petrus, sorry, Member Petrus, is your hand up?
No, Chair, he's out of the meeting.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, members.
Bye-bye. Bye.